So in the last class, we were discussing about various design cycle aspects and various learning procedures, all this, some terminologies related to that. Today we'll take up some probability density function, probability distribution for visualizing a class. Even earlier we were discussing about how we can visualize a class using some histogram based plot or scatter plot, right? Now let us see how a group can be or class can be represented using some density function or distribution function, right? To start with, all of you aware of that there are some random variables in any problem where uncertainties patterns you're talking. These variables generally will have two forms. One is continuous or the other one is discrete, right? So a variable generally represented as you know with the alphabet, saying that a variable x represents some problem domain. It may be a variable, but in the pattern you may refer it as a feature sometime, right? So this kind of problems where there are multiple features or multiple variables will be generally dealt. Maybe in the continuous mode or maybe some may be in the discrete mode, right? So these variables, when you are having, you can even describe them using suitable distribution function or density function. For example, if there is a variable which is discrete, we generally go ahead with describing that using probability distribution like p of x. With that, we can try to describe that variable. So in a way, you are trying to describe its class with respect to a feature. So let us take up some simple example. For example, say a case COVID. You know that obtaining a test in any of the problems such as COVID or any other problem like malaria or anything, right? So obtaining a test result as positive when 1,000 random tests are made. There is a question mark, right? Are you going to get a positive or are you going to get a negative? In advance, you may not have an answer for that. Obtaining test result during test, it could be positive or it could be negative sometime. Among the 1,000 random tests which you are making, how many you may get positive, how many you may get negative? All of these are question marks, uncertainty. We have a lot of uncertainties with this. So in these cases, the variable associated with the problem or with respect to that, how you try to visualize the whole problem, right, as a class. These are really challenging to a designer. So there are various discrete type of distributions which could be used for describing when variable is a feature is discrete or variable is discrete. Generally, you have studied in mathematics what is these distributions, right, or some other subject. So let us see how this could be seen used for description of the class. How you can describe the class with respect to a feature using binomial distribution. Say when there is a binomial experiment, what happens, and because of that, how you can describe that binomial experiment as a binomial distribution, right? And how you can describe a class here, and how you can utilize that in a classification problem. That is what you need to look for. As a case study, now I'm taking binomial and Poisson as a discrete case. And in continuous also, when the variable x is continuous variable also, we'll take some example. So I think binomial experiment and the distribution you have seen earlier in your earlier study, right? Yes or no? Shika Jain? Shika Jain?
Hello.
Shika, yeah, I think you heard about binomial experiment or binomial distribution, right? Earlier. It's a type of experiment where some statistical experiment. where maybe some example you may have studied earlier in your mathematical or statistical study, right? Because statistics is a very important area. So binomial experiment will have some n repeated trials generally. Suppose if you have n repeated trials or some experiments will have some n outcomes which are occurring in each experiment, right, during the conduction of the experiment. So there could be some possibility of getting an outcome when you are flipping a coin or rolling a die, right? The outcomes are said to be discrete in nature, but there could be some n trial you are conducting. You will be tossing n times, rolling n times. That's said to be n repeated trials, right? So when these experiments are conducted, you may be observed that the output or outcome of that possible outcome, if you observe, there are two things here. One is when you are tossing a coin, getting a head or getting a tail. So getting a success or getting a failure, that is what we generally say. So whenever the problem is associated with a success or failure, okay, there are two possible outcomes. And if you have associated problem with the unrepeated trials, and in that case, the experiment, binomial experiment may be suitable for describing the nature of the class or the measurements here. Okay, the variable could be, with respect to a variable, you will be able to explain the whole group of outcomes which happens during every experiment. So let us take what is binomial first, then we'll talk about one more distribution and how it could be seen describing a class. That is what we need to look for. So binomial probability, you may have to estimate here. Binomial probability is defined in earlier your study also. It may be something like this. You may be saying probability of getting k success when there are n trials. Okay, where k success can have a variable value such as k is equal to 1 or k is equal to 2. Okay, probability of getting k success where k can take any other value such as 2 or 3. For getting a k success or 2 success when you are doing some experiment, binomial experiment, the relation is something like this. It talks about some coefficient. This is the coefficient, binomial coefficient. So is a ratio of n factorial to that of k factorial n minus k factorial. This is how it is related. You have studied that. So when there is a binomial coefficient here, and if you know in a problem, what is p, small p? P is nothing but probability of success, right? Is represented as p here. So k is nothing but getting k success. Total number of success is k. And total number of trial is n. So when there are n trials, getting k success you can define as probability of k. So with the coefficient, right? This is what binomial expression. So using which you are able to calculate what is binomial distribution is for a given problem. So when the variable is k here, p of k you can calculate for each k value. So you get a step for each k is equal to 1, 2, 3, etc. so that you can describe that particular distribution. So with respect to a variable k, you are going to describe the whole, or you'll be plotting the distribution, or nothing but you are trying to represent a class here in a way. You're trying to visualize a class in a way. So this is one way of representing, like we discussed how we can even do histogram plot. Where histogram plot y-axis is a count or frequency, but here you are talking about probability of k. It is a different parameter, right? So plot looks similar, but it is different. Y-axis is different here. Make sure that it is a probability with respect to k. Let us take an example and see how to draw this kind of plot to represent a class, a certain problem in which if there are some variables, how you can Go ahead considering that. So consider a statistical experiment. We consider a simple example here, flipping a coin that is also 2 times. Flip once and once again you flip it. That's why we call it as 2 times, right? And count the number of times the coin lands with head. So getting head when you are tossing coin 2 times is the focus here. So what are the possibility of getting head? That you try to understand and try to describe that particular class with the help of distribution. Suppose experiment consists of repeated trials where you are flipping 2 times, right? So each time you may get head or tail, but getting head is your focus, right? So that if you focus and estimate your probability, how the distribution could be described finally. Estimate the probability and describe the class. That is a plan here to talk about. The trial can possibly have outcomes which will have head or tail. When you toss a coin, you know that in each flip you will get head or tail, right? But getting a head is the focus here in this experiment, right? To describe a probability of getting head. Then there are 2 times tossing of coin is done. So what is the probability of getting a success, that is getting a head? Can you tell me, any one of you? When you toss a coin?
Sir,
Yeah.
half.
Yeah, it is generally known that it is half. That is true. Yeah. Because outcome getting head, it is nothing but among the outcome getting head or tail is 2. So it is 1 by 2 is half. Correct. So the probability of success in this case is 0.5. P is 0.5. Okay. In this problem, P is equal to 0.5. Outcome can be getting head or tail, that is getting success or failure. So it is a problem of tossing a coin, also a type of problem which comes to a binomial experiment. That is how you can detect. So when you do various trials and if you try to observe what is the possible getting head and tails, first flip if it is head and second flip followed by that also head, sometime it may be head and tail. Okay, tail, head, or tails, both cases, right? So if you try to estimate in all these 4 cases, what is the probability of getting head? Then you can plot the distribution. For two possible outcomes here, for totally for 2 trials, 4 possible outcomes, you may have to estimate the probability now. Probability of getting 0 head is P of 0. K success. P of K, where K is nothing but success. So when K is equal to 0, that is the last one in the table we are talking. P of getting 2 tails, nothing but no head, right? In this case, there is no head. So probability of getting no head, you calculate here as P of 0. Formula is available here, right? So you have to have the coefficient here, binomial coefficient. Then probability P of P to the power 0, 1 minus P to the power P minus X, right? Sorry, what is that? N minus K. N is 2 here, right? N is 2. In each case, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, you are doing two time trials, right? So number of trials you are doing is 2. N is 2. P is 0.5. And K is, considering small k, 0. You estimate P of K. That is now 0.25. Anyone has clarification here how it is calculated? P of 0. N as 2. K as 0. Probability of 0.5 with which you can estimate this value. Similarly, if you try to calculate for other cases, say in the experiment you have having single head in the second flip or having single head in the first flip, having head in both the flips. So P of 1 getting one head, P of 2 getting two head. So P of 1 is nothing but either of 2 or 3, right? Is P of 1 getting one head. So when you are calculating that, say this n is 2, P is 0.5, but K is 1 now for the second case. P of K, where K is equal to 1, you are calculating 0.5. The last one, actually table, the first one is nothing but this, getting two head. Getting two head, you can calculate here, P of 2. So anyone of you having doubt here how to calculate? I think these formulas you may be seen earlier, right? Any clarification here for the given problem? It could be a COVID problem or some other problem where you can describe the distribution. But here, in a given case, whenever the outcome is having success or failure, that kind of problem, you can try to describe with binomial distribution. So once you calculate, then you can plot it with respect to your feature, a variable. K is a variable. Probability of K as y-axis. Getting zero head. First step. Getting single head. Getting two heads. So this indicates a distribution showing a class distribution or binomial distribution plotted. Binomial distribution for the given problem. So it tries to describe your class with respect to some variable K, right? Of feature K. Any clarification here? Similarly, you can just work out another problem here. If you wish to do rolling dice, it's given here. Okay. And regarding the distribution, some more detail is given here. You can just go through it. Now, how to visualize a class with uncertainty when the upper bound is not defined, right? So upper bound means that if, for example, in some example, like say, for example, you have some problem, say, which is given here, number of patients using ventilators in a day in different hospital, in different districts sometime, right? When average number of ventilator used may be known such that 10 in the district, maybe it is 18 in another district, or in different time interval it may be even different. So how to analyze this kind of problem where you don't know exactly what is the number of outcome you get per day, right? Patients, or how many ventilators you need for them. If you are not very clear about usage of some device or usage of some bed in a problem, how you guess how many beds may be required or how many ventilators may be required for an hour or for a day or for a month? How you can plan it? It is just by looking into some fixed interval time, what exactly the average value you have, right? That is a measure. Even you can try to predict, some prediction also possible. In these cases, when you want to predict the arriving patients in the next day or so on the next day, when the upper bound is not clearly known or it is uncertain, right? So what you can try to do is you can try to go with the Poisson distribution to look the visibility of how exactly the variation happens here to understand. You can try to describe the problem with the Poisson distribution. So it's a kind of distribution where the variable x is discrete. Once again. So whenever the variable x you're talking in a problem is discrete and you want to describe with the distribution, yes, you can choose Poisson distribution that tries to express probability of numbers of your events occurring in a fixed interval. Maybe over an interval as a mean value or some average value we express and we try to express the probability. Thereby we try to indicate the distribution, or we are trying to visualize a particular variation or a class there in a given problem. Say set of outcomes when it is countably infinite. Have you heard about this term, countably infinite?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what do you mean by countably infinite? You heard about infinite, all of you, very well, right? Infinite boundary means the boundary is not fixed, right? Which is very clear that it may vary, it may fluctuate, right? It may not be fixed, right? Say whenever in a problem, the boundary or say some kind of outcome, outcome of a experiment, if you are not able to say that, rolling a die, you know that there can be possible outcomes, standard, right? 6, getting a 1, getting 2, getting 3, getting 4 or 5, 6. These are the possibilities when you are rolling a die, right? Or when you are tossing a coin, you know that the outcomes are 0 and 1. You know that fixed outcome. Either of that should occur. So when there is a possibility that you know that even though the problem has uncertainty, but you know that the outcome is fixed. That is a kind of problem where you can choose binomial. But wherever some problem, even it is something like the outcome is countably infinite. Say, for example, suppose you take a toll, right? The vehicle is arriving at a toll. You understand that a number of vehicles are arriving at a toll. But when you try to count the number of vehicles arriving at a toll, between 9 a.m. to, say, for example, 10 a.m. is different than 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Over an interval, if you count it, it will have certain fixed value. But if you take a different interval value, its value is different. It's not fixed, right? So it is just an example which tries to say that the bound is outcome can be some kind of uncertain. Outcomes can be listed in an infinite sequence, but it is countably infinite over a region, like over a range of time between 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. It is said to be fixed. So it is said to be countably infinite problem, okay, where you are measuring the variable. So a kind of problem where this Poisson distribution could be used for describing your class, okay. And the x is variable which is discrete and you can try to describe your class, or you can estimate some probability of variable or probability of certain success sometime, okay. That could be described as a standard formula which you have studied earlier. This relation you have studied earlier, right? But we are trying to make use that for describing the distribution now. So what is k here? K is 0 or 1 or 2. For example, getting certain success. But what is that P of k? P of k is probability that exactly k events will occur in a fixed interval. Okay, getting certain event, certain number of events such as k occurring, that you are defining with the probability here. So what is that lambda here? Lambda, right? It is trying to represent a average value. Lambda is the number of events that occur in that length of time on the average. or it is the mean of random variable k. It's a mean value over that duration, no? 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. What is the number of average number of vehicles arriving? That you are defining with a mean, right? Some average value. So that value can be considered as lambda. Getting 10 vehicles during that 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. may be k. So if you know these two variables, you are able to express probability of k. So with the relationship, right? This, if you know, you can try to plot a particular distribution. In a given example, let us see how to draw this distribution, right? Given here a particular problem with radioactive. So a radioactive or type particular class name is A. Okay. The class is A. Has certain characteristic. Say for example, it has 3.2 nuclear disintegration events per second. It's its nature. The particular radioactive or nature is such a way that it has certain disintegration rating, right? So that is expressed here as 3.2 for that ore, right? Type A ore. It is defined over certain time, right? Per second. So it is some average measure, right? So this is why, that is why it is considered as lambda here. So in a given problem, if a number of events you consider as n, and if the time interval is certain, and if the rating is certain for a particular type of ore, then can you plot with respect to that a Poisson distribution? That is the question here. So how to plot? You start estimating the probability value here. Okay. You have the formula already with you. Can you note this formula? All of you. Please note this formula. Have you noted this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now the question we will try to understand. There is a radioactive ore and disintegration rate where lambda is 3.2. Okay. So per second, that is the rate at which it is going to disintegrate. So now, can you calculate for n when varies like when n is varying here for n is equal to 0? What is the probability using Poisson's distribution, right? Can you calculate that? I have given here. Can you verify that? I have already given the lambda. Lambda is 3.2. N is 0. Here P of, they have considered P of, okay, P of n is equal to K. So n is equal to 0 you can take instead of K. Otherwise you have to take it as K, right? The variable K is assigned to n here, that's all. So can you tell me, are you getting this value? This value? P of 0. Lambda is 3.2 to the power 0. Exponential minus 3.2 to that of what? in the denominator. K factorial.
Yes, sir. It's the same as what you wrote.
It is correct, eh? Okay. What is 0 factorial value? Very basic. Eh?
So 1.
Sir.
All of you know that anyway. Yeah. So similarly, you calculate other values, P of 1, when P of 1, how much? I just calculated here, you can verify that, okay? So on you calculate for P of 2, P of 3, so on. Then you can plot this curve. This step is for P of 0, P of 1, P of 2, P of 3, 4, 5, so on. You can see the hatching. This is for one of the class A. Hatching style is towards left. Okay. The other hatching is for the other class B, that I have not described here. I just pasted from the book, which is taken even other half. There is one more O of class B we are talking. When you are talking type B with a different integration, you will get this class. Then even you may be able to do some classification also with the help of that. But let us not worry now. Right now we are just talking about class visualization. One of the class visualization here, other class visualization here. Similarly can be done. Okay. If you are given only one problem, only this is the one which is existing in the given problem now. Just neglect this. Okay. I'm not talking about that other part now. Any clarification how it is drawn to visualize the class? It's a very simple procedure.
Sir, I joined class slightly late, so would you mind? So I think I might have missed this. Would you mind clarifying why it's probability of n given a?
Which one you are talking? Yeah. So it is for a given class. You can represent for a given class. Yeah. I'll come to that.
Okay.
Representing the class. Yeah. You can represent its class. Okay. Condition probability could be described. So it is called class condition probability generally. When you express like this, it is referred as class condition probability. So when you have a particular variable, say such as n here, and you'll be describing that particular distribution with respect to one of the class, right, A, then it will be P of n given A. You are given that, or you are labeled that is a class A, and you will be describing probability of n with respect to A. So that probability could be expressed like this, and you can calculate like this, and when it is plotted, it will be seen like this, right? Similarly, when you plot other class, in generally y-axis is shown as probability of n given ci here in the given plot, where ci can be a or b when there are multi-classes. So for a given class, you can write a p of n given a or p of n given b. Okay, that is how you can describe. There's a class condition probability, referred as class condition probability. So this probability versus a variable here along x-axis describes this nature of the class, maybe class A nature, something like this, it is distributed, You can see, and you can see the other distribution here for class B. So then you can study how they are distributed with respect to a given feature n, maybe in this given problem. The variable is here along x-axis as n. In the given problem, they call it as n. Radioactive count. Radioactive count is n. Taken along x-axis. It is not number of trials. Don't get confused. In this problem, it is taken as radioactive count as variable. Okay. Because typically we take n as a for count. Don't confuse. Okay. In this particular example, they have taken for radioactive count as n. It's a variable they took along x-axis. So it is something like a variable, and with respect to that variable, you are expressing now probability, right? So it tries to describe that particular set of experiments where you are generating or you will be finding some different values, right? Finally, it will try to help you to describe a class. That is called class condition probability based distribution here. Or you can just say that it is a class condition probability, what you are trying to estimate here. And this is a distribution, probability distribution describing the class for a type of or in the given problem, type A or. Similarly, there is a type B or. And there are multiple class of different categories, maybe A, B of over here. See, then you may be thinking about some separating them or categorizing them, all this. Then you may have to frame a rule for separating. So when it is not overlapping, then it may be possible to separate them, defining a rule here. Okay. So, but however, now this plot is just giving an idea that how they are distributed. It is what indicated here. Is it clear? With respect to probability. Their class probability, class conditional probability. This, as such, you aware of that P of A given B is a conditional probability. When a parameter here is feature and this is class, we call it as class condition probability specifically. Okay. In a classification domain, we can call that as class conditional . This is a class maybe A or B, whereas this can be a feature. Fine. Now, considering into this problem, there are two classes. Similarly, there can be some multiple classes. In that case, with respect to that n, you can try to describe the classes. I'm just trying to talk about how to visualize the class in this case. Okay, let us take some other problem now. How you can try to visualize that problem with these kind of distributions or with the expressions like for probability of estimation, right? How it may help you to predict sometimes certain requirement in the problem. Can you go through the problem, one of you? Say, shall I ask somebody?
Sir, you want someone to read it?
Yeah, someone can read that so that, yeah.
Okay. Births in a hospital occur randomly at an average rate of 1.8 births per hour. What is the probability of observing 4 births in a given hour at the hospital?
Yeah, this is the problem. Yeah, let us stop it once. Yeah, this is the problem. Okay, given problem now. So what are the parameters given in this problem? Anybody can identify variables or some kind of details. So there is one detail which is given here. Average rate of birth, right? 1.8 per hour. That is also important. So what it is trying to indicate that it is trying to explain a measure here or some kind of average value here per hour, right? It is nothing but some lambda. If you can identify in this problem, this is nothing but lambda, correct? Then what is the question here? The second half, if you see, what is the probability of observing, or what is the possibility of getting 4 births, right? Exactly 4 births in a given hour at hospital. So that means you are expected to calculate some probability where you are expected to have the value 4. If x is number of birth in a given hour and getting exactly 4 number of babies, right? That is what you may have to take it as P of x given 4. So now what is this you have to estimate or you have to predict? So to do that, you can make use of Poisson distribution now or relation. Sorry, just relation of that is enough to calculate that, predict that. So you can use the relationship. But if you want to describe this class from getting single baby to multiple babies, then you can even plot the distribution. But now in this given problem, our requirement is only to calculate what is the probability, right, for the given x. When the variable is taking a value of 4, what is the probability, right? Since the average measure is given, you can understand that you can make use Poisson distribution here and you can calculate the probability. Suppose you estimate probability for P of x is equal to 1, x is equal to 2, so on, then you may be able to draw the plot also here, nature of the class, okay?
Sir,
So prediction, yeah.
the 2 points that you've written, events occur randomly and mean rate lambda is equal to 1.8, these are just part of the explanation, right?
Correct, just for part of the explanation.
Okay, sir.
One more example is given, you can just go through it. So suppose in the hospital, say for example, similar problem. What about the probability of observing more than or equal to 2 births in a given hour, right? If some condition like this is provided, then you may have to suitably take the condition and you may have to calculate the values. Greater or equal to 2, right? So in that case, it is x is equal to or x is equal to 3, so on may be considered, right? Because the maximum number is not known here, right? So how to go ahead with this problem, right? It can be even calculated like this, alternatively, right? P of x greater or equal to 2 is equal to this. However, you can even write 1 minus in a probability domain. 1 minus P of x lesser than 2. If you take this, you can calculate with these two variables. You're getting my point. I just rewritten the relationship. So which is not damaging the requirement here. So from the probability, you can write this, right? So if you write this, you can easily calculate or predict here what is P of x greater than or equal to 2. It is nothing but 1 minus P of x lesser than 2. So when you are talking this probability, it is including these two cases. Probability of x is equal to 0 and x is equal to 1. So considering these two cases are x less than 2. So you will be considering that and you will be calculating what is the probability. Probability of x is equal to 0, probability of x is equal to 1. If you calculate using Poisson distribution, then you may be able to predict what is the value for, right? So it is some kind of probability estimation could be possible here. Even however, even distribution also can be visualized in some stage if required. Similarly, one more problem of similar kind is given. You can just go through it. Similar problem, okay. Now let us take up if the variable is a continuous. How to visualize a class now? Suppose the variable, the random variable, if it is continuous, such as highest temperature on a given day or average intensity of light falling on a given region of an object, right? When you're measuring these parameters, when it is continuously changing and you are trying to describe that, you may have to go for some probability density function, right? For describing that. You have studied in different subject. I'll take some example at this point of time, such as uniform density, which is an example for continuous random variable. So what is uniform density? So it will be having some kind of variation. You understand that when x is varying along x-axis, y-axis will have certain variation till a certain point A. The values taken by it may be zeros, right? And if you observe A to B, the value is certain, say, probability of that value between A and B, such as 1 over B minus A in this case. The rest area, once again, it is 0. So you can find certain probability which is uniform over certain range A to B. Okay. The uniform value here defined as 1 over B minus A. So such a kind of probability could be called as uniform probability. Similarly, exponential, you may be seen in some problem, the radioactive elements variation will happen. So when you are trying to describe, it will change like this. Negative exponential or positive exponential sometime, right? So this is another kind of continuous variable. So one more very familiar is normal density, right? I'll take some more example later, don't worry. I'm just showing an example such as normal. I'll take some problem using that later, okay? So Gaussian or normal, when you see, it is also a continuous type, and you can see that the variable x and a probability here, right? Generally, when the continuous random variable you take, you express a probability here. The author has shown with small p, okay, to indicate probability of x given a certain class Ci. Certain class name, say for example, ith class, I refer it as Ci. When the class is A, it may be this probability of x given A. And maybe class is B, it may be second curve. The third one may be, you are describing another class, probability of, sorry, C, for example, one more class, that's all. So it's class condition probability. With respect to that, you'll be trying to describe. Now, once again, when the variable x is continuous, where x is continuous. So there is a chance that sometime x is discrete. That is what we were talking earlier. X could be discrete, x or n variable could be different in different problems. But when it is discrete, you can describe it. And even you can make use of that in a problem. But when it is continuous, generally we try to indicate them with a small letter of p, and the class name is the given one. So probability of x given Ci. Now you will be describing when the x value is continuous. There's a density function, normal density function. When I used to talk about binomial distribution or other distributions there, I represented like this. Variable x is a discrete one. Okay. Given class Ci. So it is one of the notation taken here so that easily you can differentiate, right? There is a probability distribution like binomial or Poisson, a normal density like represented here with a smaller letter here. Is it fine? So both are trying to represent the corresponding classes, a probability which is trying to represent certain class in a given problem. But what matters here is whether the variable, right? So based on that, the type of description of the nature of the class also changes, continuous or if X is continuous, we may try to represent using some density function, probability density function, such as normal density function, or sometime exponential, sometime uniform. This is uniform density function. How it is defined? Here also you are going to define a probability, but that probability is defined with a value between A and B. Its value is 1 over B minus A. Rest it will be 0. Whereas this is defined with exponential parameter. Exponential minus or plus a constant and some will be there. Say your probability could be defined. The probability here you can define with exponential. So either positive or negative, it depends on, right? Some constant and variable. So I'm not just giving just an example here. What could be the type of classes which can come? Let us take some example later in a classification domain, right? I think most of you studied that what is the relation for this Gaussian in your other subject. I think this kind of formula everyone I think came across, right? It's a normal density function having probability of X you are calculating there, or some I represent here probability of X given class, right? So in that case, its relationship is 1 over sigma under the square root 2 pi and exponential minus half X minus mu sigma whole square. So all of you aware of what is these parameters, right? Mu stands for what? X is the variable here. Can be a feature, continuous feature or continuous variable. What is mu here?
The mean.
Mu is the mean. Sigma, very well known factor. This is also very well known, right?
Standard deviation.
Yeah, standard deviation. Yeah. So whenever you have this two parameter mu and sigma and X here, this is continuous and it is Gaussian, right? A bell-like curve, right? You can try to explain that class, right? So this is a mean where mu comes, right? With respect to certain standard deviation. If the standard deviation increases, what happens, you know, this bell width also changes. This also changes. You study mu is equal to 0 here. It's a random problem. I just surfed one curve from the net and I just dropped it here in the PPT. If you see here, there mu is 0. Here, mu is equal to 0 in the first blue curve, right? If you just study mu is equal to 0, what it is talking? It is trying to talk its position even along the x-axis. It's trying to give a lot of information actually. It is trying to talk about the class orientation or sometimes positioning. Here, in this given case, position. Mu is trying to talk the position. Along x-axis now, at what place it is kept, that bell curve, right? It is a curve representing certain class. Now you can see it is positioned at x is equal to, say, for example, 0. Right? So if you see the sigma of that, sigma square is given there 0.2. If you say, take the second case now, this is the first case, this is the second case, mu is equal to 0 only, the red one. Mu is same place. That means that red and blue are having same mean, right? So you can see both are having the maximum value at 0. What is observed here is their variance is different, right? Sigma square is 0.2 and 1, right? It is another variable, right? Sigma square. Sigma is standard deviation. Okay, anyway, the variation here, sigma square is 0.2 and sigma square is 1. When it is varying, you can see that the width is here varying, right? Red one, sigma square is increased. That's what you can observe here. Increased. If you take green curve, the last one, it's having lesser than red curve width variance, right? Sigma square is lesser here, but where it is positioned, -2, right? So -2 it is positioned. Peak value is coming at -2. So one way it is trying to describe the curves, or even we understand that with respect to a particular feature here, its distribution even help us to do some classification. Okay. So because when they are not overlapping like this, then those classes could be really useful. Those classes could be even separated. So when they are overlapping like this, that means it's very difficult to separate those with respect to that x. I mean that each class is one class. Each curve is one class, right? Each curve is class, right? Class 2, class 3. When you have different curves, like 3 curves, each curve is a class. I think you understood what is class is. You're talking about a class earlier. If you can explain a class using one of the bell curve, and if there are multiple classes, now with respect to feature, if you draw these curves, you understand that if they are not having same mean, like now this curve and this curve and this curve, they are having common mean. But this blue and yellow, green, they have different means. They are even bit separated. They are overlapping only in the tail regions. That's what you can see. So in that case, these two classes you may be able to classify using this feature. So you can try to analyze or you can try to understand some of the concept behind those classes once you visualize it. Okay. So it's a way where you can try to represent a class with the, or it is trying to talk about its nature in a way with respect to one of the feature, right? So let us talk one more probability here. That is prior probability or a priori probability. When x is a feature and the interested class here in the given problem is C, you will be trying to talk about probability of given class C. Suppose you want to estimate probability of C, you know how to calculate. Given table you will write immediately. From this table, can you calculate P of A? Anyone? So what is given in the table, I will tell you. There are 5 samples. And what is the sample, we don't know, but their class name is labeled here. That means first pattern, second pattern, maybe all these are different patterns. And its label or class is labeled here. Say this is a normal. Say this is normal. This is abnormal. Like that we know its label. Okay. One of the class we just generally call that A. P1, P2 and P4 are A. Rest are B. That is what's shown here. In this case, if you want to calculate one of the probability of given A, right? Probability for class A, sorry, probability of class A. How will you calculate? Any one of you? Kanchan? Kanchan, you're online?
Yes, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, yes. You can see my
Yes.
slide.
Yes.
So I have given
but
a
I can't
table.
hear you properly, sir.
Yeah, I have given a table with 5 patterns or samples. Okay. Each sample it's belonging to certain group.
Okay, sir.
A or B. Now,
Okay,
can you calculate, predict now what is probability of A?
For this table, it would be 3 by 5. So,
Yeah.
number of
Why you said 3 by 5?
have is 8 divided by the.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm
What you
explaining.
said
So
is
it's
correct.
number
3 by.
of.
So you said it
where
is 3 by
is
5. Number of occurrence of that you are counting, right? In the total outcome.
yes, sir.
Yeah, that
Divided
is
by
what you
the
did.
total
Yes.
number of.
Yes, that is why you said 3 by 5. That is correct. Your counting is correct. If I ask P of B, that also you can do that, right? How much it is?
Yeah, 2 by 5, sir.
Yeah, correct. And you know that the probability of A and the probability of B here will be equal to 1. These are well-known probability theory you studied. Okay. But now this probability we call here as prior probability. Okay. Make sure in this domain we can refer it as prior probability. Suppose the class of interest is C, such as A, then I can express its probability, right? From the information or basic knowledge of this availability, right? So this is in generally possible when you have number of occurrences happening, right? Say with the training set or with the available data, you can immediately calculate this probability. So which is already available values, from that you are estimating with the known knowledge or current knowledge or outcome based result, no? That based on that you are calculating it. Probability of an outcome, immediately you will be estimating for a given class such as A or B. That is referred as prior probability. So this is also a good knowledge sometime. With this also you can try to categorize. It is possible to do some classification or recognitions only by this. For example, if I say that 80% of the student in our college, 80 or 90% of the students are A grade. This is the knowledge we have. Okay. 90% of the students are A grade in our institute, if I say. If you pick any one of the student as a random student from any of the class, you can define a rule saying that he is belong to A grade. So that the error will be only 10%. Even though it is a very random rule, it can give you 90% accuracy. Right? It's not a proper rule. I'm just saying that typically you can make it with the accuracy, with the prior knowledge. We are trying to do a rule based on a prior knowledge. But more appropriately also you can define it, but I'm just saying that based on the accuracy now. So I can go ahead with some rule, right, of kind. But it may not be 100%. Whatever you are doing, classification may result into 10% error there. It may not be true. Anyway, but what we are trying to understand here, the probability, okay? Plus make sure that what is this probability is now. We call it as prior probability. And one more probability we discussed just right now with the discrete variable or continuous variable, how you can describe with the probability distribution function, right? Distribution function, or with the probability density function, right? When x is a continuous variable, we described it as p of x given ci. So in generally, I can write a p of x given c as condition probability, or it is said to be class condition probability. Okay. Now two type of probability we discussed here. Now let us consider one more type of probability. Okay. To discuss before that, we'll have some general analysis here with the relation of probability. From the probability theory, all of you know that for a given class C, if there is a feature x, we can write p of c and x. All of you know that how to express this, right? It is nothing but p of c, a multiplication rule, right? Yes. Similarly, if I write instead of c and x and c also well acceptable. But the relation here slightly changes. But even you understand that A is equal to B. All of you agree? Just raise your hand if you are agreeing for that. I just said A is equal to B. From the probability theory, if you have studied that, you have just raise your hand in your MS team. How many of you are agreeing that A is equal to B is acceptable? Just raise your hand. There is a raise hand symbol.
Sir, can you repeat the question? I couldn't hear it.
See, you can see my slide here where I expressed what is probability of C and X, where C is the class and X is the variable or feature. Okay. Now, AND operation you're trying to do. It could be expressed like this. This we had discussed in the last class also. There is a rule, right? In probability theory. From that we expressed it. Probability of C and probability of X given C. That is how you express this. Correct? This is from probability theory. Multiplication rule. So when you have a probability of x and c rather than c and x, what is the difference you find here? Relationship when you expand it? That is what's shown as B. Correct. A and B. Now A and B are equal. That is what we understand because P of C and X is equal to P of X and C. Do you agree for this? That is what I'm asking. P of C and X.
Sir, here the C is the class and X is the feature, right? So for A, probability of X given C is like saying the feature given it's from class C.
No, don't interpret the meaning now. Just as per the probability theory, you just there is a variable here, there is a variable here. In probability theory, like this, probability of A and B, and probability of B and A in probability theory. Are they equal?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So this also must be equal, right? That's what I wrote here. This is a equation A, equation B. Nothing but having P of C and X must be equal, right? You agree that these two are equal from the probability theory? From this?
Yes, sir.
Correct, no? Anyone disagree? I think all of you got it. So because A is equal to B, because of that, so I can now redefine the relationship here. Say when you equate this right side, what happens? It is P of C dot P of, it's a condition probability from A, equation A portion, right? Equation B, right hand side, what is there? P of X, P of C given X. Say I take small x for single feature, okay? Capital X for a vector here. Don't make any confusions. If I take like this notation, it is indicating single feature. So when I take capital X, it will be vector, okay? So it is generally written here, whatever it is, small or capital, generally written as X in my example here. So what happens when A and B are equated? You get a thing like this, no? Right hand side of that. From that, if you rewrite probability of C given X by taking this other side, what happens now? You take this term this side. I just moved P of X to here. There is nothing but this equation, right? The same thing I rewrote here. I just took P of X from there to here. So this results in a relationship between probabilities that is trying to define a probability, another probability called posterior probability. This probability I call it as posterior probability. Both are condition probabilities here, this and this, but they are different, no? When you see the variable. You agree that this is having two variable X and C. This is also having X and C. But this probability is class condition probability. Given class, you will be expressing this with respect to X, right? The probability of X given class, C. But what is this P of C given X? Why you call it as a posterior probability, or why, what is the benefit of that? Here, if you try to see here, the variable probability of C, you will be predicting C with you will be predicting the feature which is already extracted for a given pattern, say such as X. So suppose and it is given to you, right? Given pattern with feature X, where X is extracted and given to you. Say that this X is known. Estimate, then you are trying to estimate what its class belonging to, where it belonging to, which class it belonging to. That you can predict using a probability. So this probability is slightly different than this probability, if you observe. Both are condition probabilities, but but the meaning of both are different in this case. So they called this as posterior probability, this as prior probability, this as class condition probability. So this is posterior probability. In generally, when you take A and B, rather than class X as a feature, C and X instead of that, in general, if you take also, the meaning in a classification will be like this. This ratio, generally we call it as even likelihood or another probability. This will be the prior probability. This is called evidence denominator. That results in a relation for Bayesian theorem, right? You may be heard about. From that simple rule, they have come up with Bayesian theorem. It tries to relate these four variables. That's all. Posterior probability will be calculated or related with likelihood, prior probability, and evidence. These are the key words you find in this theorem. One, posterior, this is likelihood, this is prior, this is evidence. But when you see A and B, you may not be able to define it clearly. When you take actually the class and X, the meaning will be, you are able to see the meaning of that feature or variable with respect to class. Then you are able to see. If you generally see A and B variable, it is very difficult to predict why it is posterior or why this is likelihood, right? So it may not be very clear, but when it is C and this is X, this is X, and say this is the class, this is the class, yeah, then it will be more meaningfully defined as posterior probability, likelihood, prior, and evidence. So this is a very powerful relationship called as Bayesian theorem. The whole arrangement of probabilities will be used for predicting, right, various classes when you are extracting some feature or feature vector. So given feature, estimation towards one of the class or which class it belongs to, you can find out, or you can predict it whether it belongs to class C1 or class C2 based on the probability you estimate here. So probability of class given X will help you to estimate its likeliness for which it is belonging to a class. Okay, where you'll be making use of like class condition probability or likelihood ratio sometime, or likelihood probability, a term called likelihood, or sometime it is referred as class condition probability. It really help you to calculate this. Is any confusion? Any confusion? You just better to understand from this why it is so. This is explaining the class. This is also explaining the class. But however, this will help you to better understand whether it is belonging to a class. Okay, in a better way. So even it is possible to take a decision using this probability or this probability. But however, making use of this, you may be able to take a better decision. Okay, we will prove that later. Okay, and P of X will be generally help you to just it will be like scaling factors. So it is called evidence in a given problem. It's not taking a role in decision making generally. That's why denominator in the right hand side we call P of X as evidence. Any confusion here? Anyway, I will take few example. Then still, if you have any confusions, you can always raise. Okay. I'll just give a simple example here. So when you have prior probability, P of C, which is already known probability with respect to certain class, which we are talking here, where I take fever, okay, as an example. So P of C is 0.01. And the probability having fever, given that the person has cold, that is condition probability. What is C is probability of having cold is P of C, okay? P of C is nothing but probability of having cold. Having cold. P of C, which is given as 0.001. A class condition probability is given. Probability of having a fever, given that person has cold, that is 0.4. In the given problem, the classes are cold and non-cold. C and maybe C and C dash are the classes. Now, if fever is the feature, now the probability of fever in a general population having that is 0.02. That is also given. P of X is given as 0.02. You need to estimate here, or you need to calculate here probability that a person having cold, given that he or she is having fever. This is what you need to calculate. Probability of having cold, given that he or she having fever. F is for fever, as a feature for a subject. This you need to calculate. From the Bayes theorem, you can try to calculate this like this. It is expressed in Bayes theorem that P of C, P of F given C to that of P of F. Anyway, here all the parameters are given and well denoted. Otherwise, it will lead into some confusion sometime to identify the variable, right? Any clarifications? Let us explore some more details on this in the later classes. Any clarification here? This is a very powerful probability which help you to find when the single feature is given, such as F in the given problem, or when multiple features are given in a problem like x1, x2, etc. so on. This particular formula could be seen explained for x when is discrete or when x is continuous. If you try to use a discrete variable here, can you guess what is the probability we will be going to use here? Class condition probability. Suppose in a binomial problem, okay, binomial problem, there is a discrete distribution we have seen, right, which describes the class. There could be two type of classes, binomial or Poisson when you take, say class A. I think one of the Poisson distribution problem I have taken for type A or and type B or, right? A and B are the two types of radioactive ores, right? If you consider this, for example, what could be the probability you're expecting here? Any one of you? In the given problem, there could be some question of some kind for a probability of find, given that probability, given some ore, right? For that, if you extract some disintegration or some other variable, right, related to that, disintegrating type of ore will have its own variable, right? If it is something like 2.8, so given some variable here, what is the type of ore it is? Predicting that can be a problem in that case. So maybe that case you will be trying to make use of corresponding class condition probability A or B based on the requirement. So this is the portion which help you to posterior probability. What is posterior probability? Any doubt here? We'll take up some example in the next class so that it will be made very much clear. Any doubt with the standard format of this template?
So right now, when you were saying something about discrete and random variable, and you were giving examples of like Poisson distribution and binomial, I didn't understand your point.
Yeah, that I will take example later. But have you understood this? Any confusion here?
No, sir.
This is posterior. This is prior. This is class condition or likelihood probability, maybe called sometimes likelihood term, or maybe this is the evidence term of. So this is what derived from our simple rule. Is it clear? Now this is a very important probability. If you calculate this, you can try to decide its class and its belongingness to a class. What is the chance that given X belonging to C? You can define with this probability. Given X, that means given a feature for a random sample. That means when the random sample is given, a pattern is given, you extract a feature such as X. To check that this given random sample having feature X belong to a given class, maybe C1 or C2, then you use this kind of probability. If you want to check whether X belongs to C1, then you may have to estimate P of C1 given X. This we will explore it in the next class. Okay. How to make use this relationship, we will explore it. Is it fine? Maybe in case of discrete or maybe in case of continuous, that I have to take some example. I just showed how to draw the classes for discrete or how to draw the class for continuous sometime. Anyway, continuous I have not given a description. I will give a description also how to draw it. Okay. So then how to make use of this relationship to find a label for a given feature. Or prediction, how to make use of Bayesian theorem for prediction. We can discuss in the next class. This relationship is fine, no? This relationship and basic visualization of the class. If any question you can ask. Otherwise, rest we will discuss in the next class. I'll take up different type of example. Then I think it is very clear for you.